Okay, so now I have taken the step and I have improved these aspects of my character in assignment 2 so that, see a little something else, so that I can successfully bring it over and have it work better. So now I'm going to merge visible. And now I've got my clean cutout of assignment 2. I'm going to make sure it's saved as a TIFF. And then I'm going to save it as a PNG to submit to PhotoBucket. And I'll save that to the desktop. And just because we'll keep improving our projects, the way we do that in PhotoBucket is we navigate to the right folder. So Digital Art 1, Digital Assignments. This is a resubmission of assignment 2. And I'm going to upload it. This improves what I had. And I bring in my PNG. And I do not erase anything from PhotoBucket. I want all my old versions in there. But I title it with my name and the word resubmission. Okay, and you're not quite done then yet. You then want to email me, the instructor, and let me know that you have resubmitted it. And then I will compare it with the old one. And if there are good enough improvements made, it will get a whole new grade. Now what I love about PNGs, you see here that it's floating on the light gray background, but there is no background around my creature. So if I view it in another way, like as a slideshow with a black background, the PNG just floats on that background now. And the reason I want you to submit assignment 2 that way is it won't hide anything on the edges. You know, if there's a little mistake or little areas that you didn't completely erase, it will all show. But I am much happier with this. The claw looks more in line with the coloring and the lighting of the rest of it, and it's not going to stick out like a sore thumb. Haha. In my environment. All right, so now that I've done that, I can take this TIFF and I can move it in to my background, like so, to my assignment 1 PSD file. Put it there on top. I'll erase these other layers. And now, instead of the old version, which has that leg that's too bright and is taking up too much attention, I'll move this one on top of that. I'll take its opacity down somewhat, about 50%. And then I will transform it and hold down Shift and Option to get it to shrink towards the middle. And I will put it in its place. And we know now from experience that a lot of compositing just has to do with placement. Bring that back up to 100%. Bring it up through the layers. Now I have to see, yeah, where the rubble is. Okay, so there's that claw. And so now I'm replacing it. All right, so I have my new bird in there. But then I also want to make those decisions about the environment and how the foot integrates with that environment, right? So I've got that there. I'm going to use a filter I seldom use, which is called Sharpen, and smart sharpen that little group of boulders on this layer, or rubble. Not sure why it's not, there it is, previewing it. It will just intensify some of that, the contrast around the edges for me. So it looks a little bit more like there's crags in there that he can grab onto. So now I've got the corrected bird with the right kind of coloring in my landscape. But I still have to make sure that it looks like it is gripping onto the surfaces. And this one, let me see, auto select, turn this one on. No, that doesn't quite work. No, I made a layer of that brick to go in front of the claw. There it is, foreground rubble. Huh. Okay, yeah. So, in order to make that work, I need to cut away from this and reveal the right things for the bird. So I'm going to take the opacity down on that foreground rubble. Whoops, wrong layer. And we're dealing with a lot of layers, so it can get complicated. And it does look like it's already cutting around it, but maybe I shift my bird just a little bit, because it's all in one clean layer now. Whoops, change from auto select. I'm going to have the claw come over and in between those two rocks. So now with the foreground rubble, I'm going to do this nice little trick, which is I take my creature layer, I'm going to go ahead and label that. And I already know I have a nice clean selection around it, so I'm going to use the magic wand with contiguous on, select all the empty space around my creature layer. See how it cuts out my bird so nicely? Then I'm going to add to that selection, holding down shift, and cut out the edge of this rock. Like so. So I'll just show that claw peeking through. Maybe a little bit of this. And then I'm going to move that selection onto my foreground rubble. Remember, selections can move between layers. And then the foreground rubble is just this stuff, just the rock. If I put it at 100%, you'll see. And then I just delete from there. Oops, I have to invert it first, sorry. Select inverse, and then delete it. And that will show that hook integrating with that rubble. I can also use this opportunity to help blend it in a little bit more with the environment. And we are also allowed to manipulate our creature to fit the environment. So I think I want that claw to wrap around this rock. So now I'm going to take the creature, I'm going to select just the claw of the creature, and I'm going to warp it and distort it so that it looks like it's gripping on. I can bulge it out the back, wrap it around the front a little bit. I don't want it to look wimpy though, like it's made of pasta. I want it to still feel strong. So that might have been too much. Let's see. Yeah, it looks a little like a slug. So the other option, instead of warping, is to distort and just tug at it. I'll keep it a little bit stronger, but it won't help me bend the joint. So I'm going to show you a trick. I've selected it out. This is something we're going to use in animating later, and I'm going to use this tool under Edit called Puppet Warp. And what Puppet Warp allows me to do is actually set the warping grid along joints. So I'll set a joint there, there, and there, and that allows me to pivot this claw as though it was an actual joint. And we'll keep it looking a lot more believably structural. So big difference there. All right, then maybe just sharpen up that selection a little bit. It's too bright. Make a duplicate of it and then sharpen it. And then fade it in. Oh, the beauty of making duplicates. Okay, now, and I'm really stressing this integration of the feet with the environment, because that's where they're actually touching. This is where you have to put a lot of focus to make this believable. So now that's sharpened a little too much, so now I blend it in with what's underneath. And yes, that looks good, and now I merge those two. Keep it my creature layer. Okay, so just placement is the first obstacle, right? So that claw looks believably placed now. The next is lighting. So on this foreground rubble, I also need to burn it to show kind of the shadow that that claw would show. And I'm going to do it in the midtones, and I'm going to do it with a soft-edged brush at a low exposure, something lower than 30. And I'm going to kind of darken those midtones there. So it looks like that claw is casting the shadow. Same thing on this edge. Just hit that edge a little bit of that rubble. And that should help sell that illusion. Ah, it does. So now it really looks like that bird is clamping onto that rock as a perch. Now the other talon. I've got this rubble. I'm going to take its opacity down and decide, okay, how do I want this foot to be grabbed onto it? Also, maybe where do I want to move it so that there is a lot to hold on to. So maybe about there. Okay, so what does that look like at 100%? Looks like that. Yeah, let's erase away some of these edges. Actually, no, that works because it's very dark behind. But on the bottom here, the problem with sharpening is it can leave outlines around things sometimes that aren't the best. All right, so that looks like kind of believable rubble in that space. Now I have to deal with the creature's foot, and I have to cut that out. So I'm on the second rubble layer. I'll call it more rubble. And I'm just going to use my lasso tool as I did before to cut it out. But remember, the shortcut for that is I go to my creature layer, select all around the creature, and then just add to that selection as I need to. This is selecting the outside space around the creature.